The moment you feel the urge to react, you've already lost the conversation. Every leader knows that sharp pull inside, the rush to defend, justify, or correct. It happens fast. And in that instant, your focus shifts from understanding to survival. Reactive moments like these quietly erode trust. Teams start to sense your inconsistency, and communication begins to break down. But there's a bridge between reaction and reflection, the 60-second intentional pause. In this video, you'll learn how to use that 1 minute to regain clarity, lead with calm presence, and guide even the toughest conversations toward real understanding. Even one reactive exchange can make your team less likely to share honest feedback or creative ideas. When someone challenges you, criticizes a decision, or raises their voice, your brain interprets that as a threat. In particular, the amygdala, the emotional alarm system, activates the fight-or-flight response. It's the same instinct that once helped our ancestors survive, but in a meeting room it clouds judgment. You don't think, you react. You focus on defending, not on leading. That's what's known as an amygdala hijack. It's the moment emotion takes over cognition. You may raise your tone, cut someone off, or speak words you wish you could take back. The pause serves a different purpose. It re-engages the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that helps you reason, evaluate, and choose deliberately. When you take 60 seconds before you speak, you interrupt the emotional surge and give space for perspective to return. Instead of being a participant in the tension, you become the steady presence guiding others through it. This 60-second window isn't about suppressing emotion, it's about integrating it. You acknowledge what you feel but choose not to act from it. Over time, that small skill reshapes how others experience your leadership. In place of unpredictability, they find reliability. In place of reaction, they see reflection. That is how trust begins to deepen, one mindful pause at a time. The 60-second rule works because it's structured. It gives your brain a simple path to follow in moments when clarity feels out of reach. Think of it in 3 phases: the anchor, the assessment, and the choice. Together, they move you from emotional turbulence to intentional action. Phase 1 is the anchor, your first 20 seconds. This is where you ground yourself physically. When emotions rise, the body races ahead. Your heart rate increases, breathing tightens, and muscles tense. The quickest antidote is awareness. Feel your feet on the floor. Let your shoulders drop. Take 1 slow breath in, 1 out. If you need an invisible cue, place a finger gently against your thumb, a subtle reminder to pause. These physical signals tell your mind, we're safe. Without that message, your brain keeps fueling the emotional storm. Anchoring interrupts the loop and starts returning control to you. When you model calm communication, the room follows your energy. Ask yourself, what's really happening here? Or, what part of this feels personal when it may not be? This second phase is about moving out of defense and into perspective. You begin to see the other person not as an adversary, but as a human also trying to be understood. Leaders who make this internal shift tend to ask better questions and listen longer. That curiosity is the first real act of empathy. Phase 3 is the choice, seconds 40 to 60. Now your rational thinking is caught up. You decide how to begin the next sentence. The first words you speak frame the tone of everything that follows. One mistake leaders often make is trying to use the pause to plan a perfect answer. That turns reflection into rumination. The pause isn't about crafting strategy. It's about regulating your state so any strategy you create afterward comes from clarity, not adrenaline. To internalize this practice, start by rehearsing the sequence outside of conflict. Pause mid-conversation during normal interactions, even easy ones, just to recognize how it feels. Observe how your thoughts settle when you give them 60 seconds of careful spacing. With repetition, the brain learns this rhythm, and what began as a conscious technique becomes a natural part of how you lead. The beauty of this rule lies in its simplicity. It doesn't depend on words, intelligence, or authority, only awareness. 60 seconds may not sound like much, but it's long enough to rewrite a story that might otherwise have ended in misunderstanding. Reaction closes the space of possibility. Reflection opens it again. Each minute of mindful silence tells your team one quiet but powerful message. Presence matters more than performance. And in modern leadership, that changes everything. The person feels heard instead of dismissed, And you lead by inviting dialogue, not confrontation. The beauty of the 60-second rule is its flexibility. It adapts to your context while keeping your internal process consistent. Take the first scenario. A direct report challenges your decision in a meeting. Maybe they question your approach in front of others, or push back more firmly than you expected. Most leaders feel that quick flash of defensiveness, the impulse to prove authority or shut the tension down. That's precisely the moment for the anchor. You feel your feet, breathe once, and resist the urge to jump in. As the room pauses, you allow curiosity to replace correction. In the assessment phase, you can ask, "What concern are you seeing that I might be missing?" Now consider a performance review where you must deliver difficult feedback. Emotions often run underneath the surface, yours and theirs. Without the pause, you risk over-softening to avoid discomfort or coming across as overly rigid. This time, your 60 seconds help balance clarity with care. The anchor centers your tone, so your words hold weight without defensiveness. During the assessment, you reflect, "What outcome do I want from this conversation?" The answer reminds you that the goal is growth, not blame. By the time you reach the choice phase, your first line might sound like, "This is an important conversation. I want us both to leave clearer than we started." That single sentence conveys intention, respect, and stability. A third situation. A peer dismisses your idea during a collaboration. You feel the sting immediately. The mind races to counter or withdraw. Here again, awareness creates possibility. You pause to ground your breathing, noticing the emotional rush without feeding it. Then, in assessment, you consider, is this about the idea or about timing or ego? That single reflection softens interpretation. You may then choose to respond with, "I hear you're not convinced yet. Can we look at the data together?" The tone moves from defensive to solution-focused. This steadiness often invites others back into respectful exchange. In every context, the external details change. The room, the roles, the words, but the inner choreography remains constant. Anchor, assess, choose. That rhythm stabilizes you long enough for emotional clarity to return. Each time you use it, you strengthen a neural pathway that favors reflection over reaction. Think of it like training a muscle. Repetition builds reliability. The biggest trap for leaders learning this skill is believing the pause must produce insight. It doesn't have to. The win isn't eloquence, it's regulation. Sometimes 60 seconds simply prevent an unhelpful escalation. That alone preserves trust and models composure for your team. Over time, those moments accumulate and redefine how people perceive your leadership. They learn that when tension rises, you don't add fire, you bring air. But each successful pause builds evidence that reflection works better than reaction. For 1 week, commit to using the rule once per day, even in low-stakes situations. Pause before replying to an email that frustrates you. Pause before correcting a detail in conversation. The repetition signals to your brain that pausing is safe and effective, not a loss of control. After a few days, notice the physiological change. Your heart settles faster, your breathing evens out, and clarity arrives sooner. That's neuroplasticity in action, the brain adapting to a calmer pattern of leadership. The challenge isn't remembering the technique, it's trusting it. It's not weakness to pause, it's awareness choosing strength. Team members begin to mirror your composure. Difficult conversations stop feeling like battles and start feeling like shared problem solving. That's the long-term transformation. Leadership characterized by presence rather than performance anxiety. The rule fades into the background, leaving only the habit of mindful choice. Every leader faces moments that test patience and presence. The difference between those who escalate conflict and those who guide it lies in one small space, the space between stimulus and response. Your 60-second pause is that space. It turns raw emotion into deliberate action. So remember, your most powerful leadership tool isn't the words you speak or the strategy you craft. It's the breath you take before you speak at all. That breath resets the conversation and the connection. If this approach resonates with you, share one situation this week where you'll use the 60-second rule. Reflect afterwards on how it changed the outcome. And if you want more guidance on bringing mindfulness into leadership practice, subscribe to join our community at Zen Zone Leadership. Choose to pause. Choose to lead with clarity. Your team and your own peace of mind will thank you for it.